Hey, what's up, everybody?
Welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast, episode 205. We have had another crazy week here, and this episode is going up a little late, so we really appreciate all of your patience. We know you guys are always really understanding for what's going on in our personal lives. Sometimes you just can't plan everything.
No, you couldn't have planned the last couple of weeks.
No, yeah, we've really had a stressful.
Yeah, we had to cancel an episode because I got the flu.
Yeah.
And then
we came back.
And
then we said that we have guests coming in next week.
Right. Which we did. We literally had them out here.
Yes.
Which
in the office.
Do you want to say who it was?
Yes, we had Murder with My Husband. They're a wonderful podcast. You guys should check them out. They're very entertaining.
Another husband-wife duo through Crime Podcast, which was cool.
We were so excited to get to work with another husband and wife. And
yeah. We literally had them out. We had had these episodes planned. We were going to do today's episode with them, which today we're covering Walt Disney Conspiracies.
Yes.
So we were going to do that with them. And then literally probably 10, 15 minutes before we were going to come over here and sit down and record.
Mm-hmm. They were literally here.
They were literally in our office. We were chatting.
They came all the way from Utah.
Yep.
And yeah, we really appreciate them being understanding. But yeah, right before we were about to record, Josh got some really bad news.
Yep. Yeah. I found out that my grandmother passed away kind of unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So that just obviously derailed that whole day. And so unfortunately, they were leaving the next day.
Yeah.
So we had to just kind of say, we're so sorry. We gotta reschedule.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have them out hopefully at the end of the year.
Yeah. After baby comes.
Yeah, after baby comes, because things are about to get really busy for us for a while. And then it kind of was a bad time too, because we kind of had a little bit of a COVID scare here at the office. So
yeah, which no one had COVID, but we thought there was a chance. So we had everyone home, and yeah, it's just been kind of one thing after another. So we're luckily still getting out an episode for you guys this week. It's delayed. Next week will also likely be a little bit delayed. We'll see, but yeah. Thank you guys for being understanding.
We're trying to at least, the last thing we want to do is have to cancel episodes. We hate it when that happens, and we know you do too. So we're doing our best to sort of keep up on schedule, as much as we can. But I'm excited to dive into some conspiracies today. It's been a while since we put our tinfoil hats on. So
it is. It has been.
It has been. And these conspiracies are or rather conspiracy theories, or really just
some legends.
Legends or strange things that you probably didn't know about Walt Disney. We're going to focus a lot more on Walt Disney himself as opposed to like the Disney movies.
Yeah.
We might get into that a little bit at the end of the episode, but we're going to focus more on some really interesting things, many of which are true regarding Walt Disney, and maybe some sort of connections that he had with some nefarious groups and things like that.
Yeah, it's really intriguing stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I'm excited to get into that. But
Me too.
Before we get into the episode, I did want to remind everybody that it's been, probably a month now. I brought back Planet Sleep, my sleep podcast. So I don't even know if I've announced that on here since it came back.
I don't think you have. No.
I know I posted to the community page on YouTube and some of you saw it, but yes, Planet Sleep is back. So for those of you that are looking for something soothing to fall asleep to, I've got 5 or 6 new episodes up now on there. So we've continued our journey to Planet Sleep. So that'll all be linked below.
And the whole concept with Planet Sleep is it's literally taking you around the world, and it's educational too.
Yeah, it's very much an educational show. There's a lot of history involved. And the way that we sort of have done some of the episodes have been really trying to take you to these places, but also have you learn about them while you're sort of allowing yourself to journey through them, which has been really fun to do. And we enhance it with music and sound effects and things like that, and really try to create this experience. So
yeah, shout out to Corelli, producer for the sesh, actually has been editing them and doing a fantastic job. So there's a video version of it on YouTube, and then obviously an audio version on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But I just wanted to point out that it's not just for sleeping.
No,
you can really listen to it, learn something from it, and just take time for yourself to be calm.
Yeah, it's just relaxing.
Yep.
So just wanted to put that out there if you haven't checked it out yet. I would love it if you did. We put a lot of work into it. But let's go ahead and just jump right into the world of Walt Disney. Let's start with a little bit of background on the man himself, Mr. Walter Elias Disney.
Yep. So Mr. Walter Disney was born on December 5th, 1901 in Chicago, Illinois. And shortly after he was born, his family moved to a farm in Marceline, Missouri, and later on to Kansas City, Missouri. And Walt always had an interest in art from a very young age. He always enjoyed drawing and playing with crayons. And once his family moved to Kansas City, he started taking cartooning classes at the Kansas City Art Institute and School of Design. When Walt was a teenager, his family moved back to Chicago, and he started taking photos and making drawings for the school paper. And it was his dream to become a newspaper cartoonist. And during World War I, Walt was too young to enlist in the U.S. military. So he forged his date of birth on his birth certificate and joined the Red Cross as an ambulance driver in France. I did not know that.
That's pretty admirable, honestly.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah. I mean, he's questionable, but that was good.
Yeah, that was a good move.
So in 1919, Walt moved back to Kansas City and met a young artist named Ube Iwerks. And he and Ube started their own animation company in 1922. And things didn't really work out in Kansas City, but in 1923, Walt and his brother Roy went into business together. Ube and the two Disney brothers moved to California and reopened their animation company in Hollywood. And that's where they created the character Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit.
I've never heard of Oswald.
Yeah, he was like kind of the original Mickey.
Oh, weird.
Mm-hmm.
Ew, it's kind of scary, honestly.
Yeah, ew. Yeah, he's creepy.
Yeah.
All of it was kind of creepy looking in the beginning.
But I guess back then there was really nothing like this before. So it's probably really cool. You know, we have so many cartoons that we've all seen. So we judge older cartoons based on the new stuff. But back then you can imagine it probably was pretty cool to see something like Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit.
But Oswald got stolen. A distributor just completely ripped them off. So Ube and Walt ended up tweaking it and created Mickey Mouse. And eventually Mickey made his first debut in a Disney animated film, Steamboat Willie. That's where Mickey got his start.
I had no idea that Mickey was a rabbit before he became a mouse.
That he was a rabbit? Yeah, I didn't really know that either.
I had no idea that they tweaked him because the original idea got stolen. Imagine if it hadn't gotten stolen.
I know.
And Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was like the iconic character
Oswald
at Disney, and everybody wore like bunny ears at Disney.
Alternate
like
universe, maybe.
Yeah.
But as you guys know, the rest is history. Mickey Mouse was a huge hit, and pretty soon Disney created his friends: Minnie Mouse, his girl, Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto.
What's your favorite out of those? Go.
Donald Duck.
Janelle. Probably Pluto, right?
Is Pluto the dog?
Yeah.
Okay, Janelle is going to struggle through this episode.
You don't even know?
I'm seriously not trying to be like the pick me girl who doesn't like Disney. I just don't know anything.
I know. I mean, you didn't really grow up with a lot of Disney. Your parents didn't really play it for you.
I don't know. I didn't really.
Didn't vibe
Were you
with
just
it.
not interested in it, or your parents just didn't expose you to it?
Actually, when I was really little, I think I liked Mickey Mouse. I remember I have like home videos of me with a Mickey Mouse doll, and I would like kiss him on his big nose.
And you liked cartoons. You were always a fan of like Tweety Bird.
Oh yeah, I love Tweety
Looney
Bird.
Tunes? You're
I
a
liked
Looney Tunes
Tunes. Is Looney Tunes part of Disney?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't think it is. No.
Oh no.
Or
is it?
No, it's Universal.
Oh.
You know how they have Looney Tunes at
That's
Universal?
kind of like their competing thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. I take it back. I like Goofy better than Donald Duck.
Donald Duck's kind of annoying.
Wow.
Goofy.
That was pretty good.
Not bad, right?
Yeah. Kind of scared me for a
I was
second
going to
there.
say a little horrified. It's fine.
I wish I could do Donald Duck. That's my favorite.
Oh, my mom can do it so well. Have you ever
Really?
heard her do it?
No.
She's so good at it.
Oh my god.
Get her up on FaceTime. Let's get a...
Oh, I should hit her up. She's probably...
Can you do a
she's
Donald
probably
Duck
free.
for the show, please?
Oh my god.
Okay, so 1937, Disney released the classic animated film. Their first one, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And their company moved to Burbank, California. And in 1940, they released the classics Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi.
So think about this for a second, about those 4 films. And if I've seen all of them, you've seen all of them, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Janelle, have you seen any of
I've
these?
seen Pinocchio, I think, and Bambi. I've seen Bambi.
Oh, I'm surprised you've seen Bambi.
And maybe I've seen Snow White. I don't remember though.
Bambi's like traumatizing.
They all are.
It was.
They all are.
You're right.
They all have like very dark themes in them.
They do.
They have of like death and fear. All of them.
I think that's why I like didn't watch it, because I was like scared of everything as a kid.
Yeah,
still am. So I'm like, I don't need to be scared.
What's the place in Pinocchio that they go to where everybody's just like
Pleasure Island?
Pleasure Island.
That's
it's
creepy sounding.
Yeah, they
Isn't
named
it?
it Pleasure Island.
Oh, it's
and
so
it's like,
creepy. I hated Pinocchio.
Pinocchio's a weird.
And I
weird
hated
one.
Dumbo too. That one really freaked me out. That's like a drug trip in a movie.
Yeah,
Really?
I mean, just the
it's
adult
creepy.
themes.
Uh-huh.
Are run very heavy in all of these films.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they were like made for children. But here's the thing too, is like sometimes we like to think like, oh, this is all so dark and scary, but it's also like at the time,
Yeah.
it was a different world.
No, it totally was. I mean, most fairy tales were coming from Brothers Grimm
Right,
around this
exactly,
time too, which
exactly.
are horrific.
Hansel and Gretel,
Yeah.
Things like that.
Which we all have the soft versions of those
Right.
now, but the original versions, Little Mermaid even.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's like so creepy. It's
Well, I mean, I think it was, maybe we've all just gotten soft, I think, and just,
no, they were like horrific.
but I think it's
Cinderella and
but
stuff.
why?
The original.
Like, why did they make it so? Why'd they make these children's tales so horrific?
I don't know. Maybe kids were tougher.
I think it was because kids were enduring the Great Depression. They were
That's
enduring the world wars and things like that. Like there was so much
maybe.
like death, destruction around them that it was so familiar and part of their daily life that they. But it's
But
like,
honestly,
why do that though?
But
Why?
also, it's very prevalent nowadays. We're dealing with horrific things
Yeah.
that are happening in society all day long. So,
Yeah.
like, has that really changed that much?
I think it's more of just a culture shift.
But
that-
why did films go from these very dark adult themes to now like there's really not any of that in most films these
I
days.
wonder if it was mostly for money, sales. Like people just were
Were they
more willing
trying-
to show them to their kids if they are not
or
going to freak
maybe
them out
they
and
were
give them
trying to
nightmares.
get adults to watch as well. Maybe it was they went that route to try to get
Originally,
originally to get
Yeah.
adults in the theaters and adults to watch the films,
Maybe.
or be interested in it as much as kids.
I don't really know, but these movies highly questionable, especially Fantasia. That
What was
one
that
has
one?
been. I don't even know. It's a strange
Isn't that one
movie.
like real weird?
It is. It's very weird. It's very trippy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been re-released several times and redone. So has I think Pinocchio and Dumbo. I think maybe all of them, but they've had a lot of just really inappropriate, also racist themes going on in those movies as well.
Which, when you think about the different elements of these movies, it's gonna really like kind of click in when we talk about some of these
Yeah.
theories and
Yep.
of where Walt's head was at the time.
Yep.
And what he was involved in, and
Mhm.
maybe there's a deeper reasoning for why these things made it into his movies,
That's right.
and that this wasn't all just a ploy to be entertainment for children, because it just seems like there'd be an easier, surefire way to make this like
Mm-hmm.
better for kids. Like, don't you want kids to be happy and not feel these other feelings of sadness and pain, like the scene of Bambi getting shot, like as
Yeah.
a kid you're like, ugh, like your heart wrenches, you see the
Disturbing.
the mom's run, like it's like it
Mhm.
crushes you.
Yeah.
It's like, why were they doing that?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
But Disney films really became a huge sensation after all of these releases. And then the company moved into the 50s and started to release more of the classic animated films: Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Cinderella.
Alice in Wonderland trip, man.
It is.
A little like children's trip.
It is a trip.
Peter Pan, I have questions about that one.
I mean, they're all questionable, truly.
Even Cinderella too. Like
Yeah.
Cinderella's got some
Some of the themes in that are like, interesting here. But Disney was planning something big. In 1955, they opened the world famous Disneyland theme park in Burbank, California. Here's some footage actually of opening day. This is pretty cool to see.
fun.
$17 million playground dedicated to children,
Wow.
both young and old, opened its gates to the
Very
public
cool.
today. These pictures were taken yesterday by Channel 8
there's
cameraman
Peter
Mel
Pan's
Forbes
ship.
during a special preview showing of the Wonderland to invited guests. Views from a helicopter show the huge 60-acre playland.
This
The
must have
park
been
is
so
the
mind-blowing.
brainchild of
Think
Walt
about
Disney
it, like for
and
people to come
includes
visit
such
this.
creations as a Mississippi
Wow.
River showboat, a horse-drawn trolley, and Snow White's
Yeah, this
castle.
is like the first of its
30,000
Mhm.
persons
To build
streamed
something
through
so
the park at this
massive and
initial
so
opening,
immersive.
and one had all he could do in some instances to keep from being crushed.
Look
But
how
visitors,
fancy they're all
some of
dressed.
them
Oh yeah,
like
dude, back in
Eddie
the
Fisher,
50s,
accepted
everyone's
his
dressing up.
They're all in suits,
The
man.
hair,
From
even the guys
4:30
like
to
curled
6
their hair
o'clock in
all
the
Oh,
out.
wow.
A
Okay.
live ABC telecast
Dumbo?
brought opening
That's
ceremonies
scary.
to folks across the
Yeah,
nation.
that is funny. Nice lashes
It was
though.
I was gonna
presented
say.
over
Her lash
in
artist.
San Diego. Then Governor Knight and Disney
Had a
led a
train?
parade
Wow.
of Disney's imaginative
This must have been
characters
lit
through
for
the
people.
grounds.
People were like, wow.
Oh yeah.
There was Alice
They were
in
lit. Don't they look
Wonderland,
lit?
Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs,
That's
and
creepy.
such
Yeah,
famous
the original
persons as
Mickey
Davy
Mouse
Crockett,
design
Bess
is
Parker, and Annie Oakley.
Questionable.
Disneyland hopes to handle 60,000 persons
Oh,
a day
God.
when it's in full operation.
Pluto. They really did him
Officials say
dirty.
they hope to gross $10
Cute.
million a year.
Oh, yeah.
Tickets are
Yeah, the
$1
dwarfs.
for adults and 50 cents for children.
Wait,
The
what?
park
Hold
has
on. What did that just say? It's talking about pricing, how cheap that
Yeah.
was?
They
Yeah,
hope to
back that
gross
up.
$10 million a year. Tickets are $1 for adults and 50 cents for children.
Wow. Wow.
But
Wait,
remember-
will you look up how much it is for adults and children now?
Yeah.
I'm curious. I know it's constantly going
Like
up.
$170 for an adult ticket or something
Maybe.
for Disneyland.
I don't know. Is it that much? We went probably last time we went to Disney World. We've never been to Disneyland, but
No.
Disney World. We probably went like
Oh yeah, I mean we probably dropped like $500
8
for
years ago.
a day.
What?
A day.
No, I don't think we.
No, but if
that
you do the
much.
fast pass and all that shit,
We didn't
it
even do
adds up.
that. Or did we?
Okay.
we did.
Can't find like a
That was,
1
like,
day ticket, but this
2016.
2 day ticket for one park days, which would because they only had one park back then. So it's $255 for an adult, $240 for a kid.
Oh my god!
So, like-
And if you want a hop park, then it's $315 for an adult, $300 for a kid.
that is ridiculous.
Now that's 2 day.
Wow.
Well, it says one park per day. Okay, yeah. So I guess divided by 2, it's around what 125 ish.
And that's for Disneyland.
Yeah.
I wonder if Disney World is different. That is crazy. I mean, what is it going to be in like 10 years from now?
Okay, I just found for Disneyland, they start at $76 a day for a standard theme park ticket.
Just for standard?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Means that you probably won't get to ride anything.
Yeah.
You'll be
because
standing in line and hopefully get one ride in and get your freaking
Yeah.
turkey stick and go home.
It's like the turkey.
Your turkey leg and go home.
Ew. Yeah, those are nasty people walking around with
Oh,
those
okay.
things.
So yeah, so it starts at 76, but it's basically $100 a day per person.
That's just wild.
And
Just
they-
to get in.
Ridiculous.
But
What
the rides are free, right? Once you're in, you can just keep
Yeah.
like you don't pay for the rides.
Yeah, but you pay for everything else.
Yeah.
Your
and it's
body
so
pays the
expensive.
entire day.
Yeah,
while
that's true.
while you're in pain.
Yeah, your feet hurt so much by the end of it.
The amount of time we spent waiting for Space Mountain that one time was like 2.5 hours.
What?
Yeah. We stood in line for 2.5 hours to ride
Why?
Space Mountain.
For
Because
like
we're
a 30
idiots.
second ride? No, for real, y'all
We're-
idiots.
Because everybody's an idiot that goes
Yeah,
to
for
Disney.
real.
There's nothing else to do. It's like, okay, you can wait in that line or you can wait in
Yeah.
that line.
What's
Or you can just stand here and waste your money completely.
what's the appeal?
I mean,
There's really not.
Obviously, something's appealing because this is like the most successful thing ever. But I'm
mean,
like, damn, that's crazy.
we went on a really busy weekend too. I believe it was like a holiday weekend. I'm pretty sure it was like Memorial Day or something.
Well, they really like now to have a good experience at Disney, you have to drop tons of money and you
It's
have to
crazy.
plan way in ahead, way
Yeah.
in advance.
That's what we
So you can
learned
do
last time.
reservations
You have to
for-
reserve everything, like different restaurants and stuff, any type of experience. Yeah.
Like if you
have
just
to
show
really
up the
plan-
day of,
No,
like
you're screwed.
you're having a bad day. You're gonna
It's
want
so
your money
intense.
back.
It's-
Now, I'm assuming people in California can get like season tickets.
yeah.
Same
Yeah.
in Florida. You,
You can
can
do that in
get
Florida
like
too, yeah.
discounted like pass basically. I think they
Mhm.
do passes or something like that for
Yeah.
residents.
Which probably makes it more worth it if you go a certain amount of times. But I don't know, like, I mean,
But just the amount, if you think about the amount of visitors that visit every day and the amount of money that people pay, their profits are like astronomical just for
Yeah.
their theme parks,
Oh,
not
yeah.
to mention all of their other IPO, all their other, IPs and
oh, yeah. Just
movies,
insane.
films, studios. I
They
mean,
own like everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot more than $10 million a day or $10 million a
but
year
10
that they were
million
making.
back then,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
instantly, probably one of the richest men
And he
in
was
the country.
doing that with just 50 cents for kids and $1 for adults.
But this was back when like a nickel would get you like
Right.
a loaf
So
of
that was
bread.
pricey.
Yeah, that was pricey. That was like, you got to save up to do
But
it.
shows how many people were going. I mean, it was a huge hit right away.
Well, I think it was because it's kind of the first place where this fantasy that you got to immerse yourself into through the films and books and things like that became real, and like you could actually walk through it. And there's something about it that like we all find interesting. Even with like Harry Potter and Universal and everything, like being able to go into Hogwarts for the first time is somehow
it's cool.
Makes you feel really like, oh, this is cool. It's
especially as a
real and
kid.
magical.
Yeah, it's a magical type thing.
This is insane. I just pulled up an article that says Disney parks, experiences, and products. So it's obviously not just Disneyland. Their revenue doubled to $7.2 billion in the first quarter of 2022 compared to $3.6 billion in the same period of 2021. Granted, COVID
Pandemic.
was ramped. Yeah, but just the number of $7.2 billion in the first quarter.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Bucks, man.
Yeah, we always talk about Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX. Watch out for Disney, man.
Well, Elon's got to be making more, right?
Well, yeah. Well, he makes more because of a lot of other things he does. But
So obviously, it all started with Mickey. Well, really all started with Oswald, who turned into Mickey. But he is now one of the most iconic and recognizable characters. According to the Disney company, 98% of kids ages 3 to 11 in the entire world know who Mickey is.
Damn.
That's fucking
it is. It's scary.
insane. It's scary.
Scary influence that Disney has.
It is. That's a lot of power. But obviously, a company that massive is bound to have some secrets. And a man as influential as Walt Disney is definitely going to attract a lot of rumors and conspiracy theories. So we're going to take a look at those.
Yes. And a lot of what we're going to talk about today focuses on Walt Disney himself.
Yeah.
So let's start by looking at probably one of the most popular Disney conspiracies out there. Growing up, you probably heard this one from friends at school, potentially. And, you know,
This one's my
I would say
favorite.
most people have heard of this theory. So some people think that Walt Disney, when he died, he had his body frozen so that one day when technology would allow it, they could thaw him out and reanimate him, just like his cartoon characters, and bring him back to life. And Walt Disney could rise back to the throne.
And that rumor has kind of gone back. Like I've heard it that it's just his head is cryogenically frozen, that it's his full body. My grandparents used to tease me on the way to Disney World and tell me that he was frozen underground somewhere around. Like when you first drive up to Disney, it's like a bunch of trees and just land. And I used to just sit there and look outside and try to figure out where under the ground his frozen body was.
Did that freak you out thinking about that?
Yeah, but I was also confused because I was like,
You're
this
probably
is
like, how's he-
Orlando.
Well, and you probably didn't even understand what it means to be like. You probably thought it was a giant ice block
I did.
in a freezer
Exactly.
somewhere.
In Orlando.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't add up.
Cold.
Yeah, they just got a big freezer underground that he's just in a giant ice block. Yeah, it's interesting. Like cryogenically freezing yourself. I mean, people do it. I mean, you can do it you can freeze your head.
We've talked about that on the show before, right?
Yeah, I think a
some point.
long time ago. I think we did. We did in like one of our unexplained episodes or something.
It's interesting stuff.
A lot of people do it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, relatively.
Yeah, a lot of people that have a lot of extra money, I guess, that want to maybe see if they could bring themselves back in the future.
That is so weird. No part of me would ever want to do that, even if it was free and proven to work.
Really?
But
No. Why would you want to like come back, like be de-thawed, and the world's probably gonna be way more fucked up. Be like, freeze me back up. I have no interest in that. Put me in the ground or scatter me. I don't know.
Yeah,
no
and-
freezing.
Well, it's like you don't even, obviously nobody knows if it would even work. We don't have the technology yet to bring somebody back from the dead, obviously. But some people, I think it's like $40,000. You can have your head severed from your body after death, and they'll put it in a nitrogen tank and it'll suspend there, probably with a bunch of other heads of other people. You probably share a tank with other people and have your have your head frozen there.
You're Fred.
And
That's
the
so
idea is
creepy.
that one day, eventually we're going to all be cyborgs. We're going to be meshed with robots. We're going to have actual like mechanical parts. If you need a knee replacement or something like that, it's all, a knee replacement right now is still mechanical. Like we are sort of cyborgs in that way, but like technology to where your whole body could be robotic, but then
Mm.
your human head could be attached to it.
Do you think
You'd be
people
brought back to
will
life.
eventually get robotic wieners?
What the fuck?
Yes,
It's just, I'm curious.
absolutely.
I'm sure people would.
Absolutely. People will get any sort of robotic stuff.
Wait,
like
why would you want a robotic wiener?
I'm sure there's reasons.
Okay.
if yours
it
was
has some
severed by
features.
like Lorena Bobbitt, your crazy ex severs your wiener.
Lorena, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they could have like features on it, like different settings and
So basically like a vibrator
yeah.
setting.
I'm sure people would be into that.
If
you can do it, I'm sure people will do it.
It will happen.
Mhm.
There will be ways to do that for sure.
That's really creepy.
But then there's people that will, your head, you have to be reattached to a body, but then your body, you could do your whole body. I think it's like $200,000, and there's like a maintenance fee to keep your body suspended
That's
in this.
insane.
That's
this
disgusting.
nitrogen
The whole head
tank.
thing. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Just a big no.
Imagine working in a place like that where you're walking and there's just these giant silos, and you just know there's dead people suspended in these tanks, and they're just
Ew.
floating there.
Just gives me the chills.
And they've been
Mm.
doing this for a long, long time, like since Walt Disney's time. They've been doing this.
Yeah.
So there's people that are dead that are being preserved in these tanks for
So
100 plus years.
Is Disney one of those people?
Well, this is what's interesting about Walt Disney is that he was a heavy smoker for most of his life, which many people were at the time. In November of 1966, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he was hospitalized that same month and spent about 2 weeks in the hospital. And on December 15th, 1966, Walt died at the age of 65. The family held a private funeral the next day, and Walt's body was cremated on the 17th. So that's like the official thing, is that he was cremated, and his ashes were interred at a family plot in a cemetery in Glendale, California. But obviously the theory goes that he wasn't actually cremated, that he was cryogenically frozen. So the rumor goes that Walt's frozen head or body is being kept at Disneyland under the allegedly haunted Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Oh, that's the theory.
Underneath that
Under
ride.
the ride.
Because that ride was actually being built at the same time that Walt Disney died. So I think that'd be a great spot to stick him. Which I'm like, out of all the places you would stick your your founder under a ride, like why?
That
What?
ride is pretty legendary, though.
Yeah, it is.
It has a certain smell to it. Like anyone who's been there knows it's like it's a good smell. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's the chemicals from the cryogenic freezing.
Maybe, or it's just the water, the chlorine in the water
No, I'm just kidding.
to keep it
It's totally
from
the
getting
water.
infested
I
with
love
bacteria.
that smell. I've seen candles in that scent.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like Pirates of the Caribbean scent? What was it?
Pirates of the Caribbean ride scent. The
Really?
water.
They
Yeah.
have a candle like that?
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing. Like people love the smell of that ride. People will know in the comments for sure.
Really? You can buy a
Yeah,
scented
people are
candle
obsessed
of
with
that?
it. Like people go and they just stand there and smell
How
the
do you
ride.
make a scent like that? You go to the ride and...
Candle, people can do anything.
But the public didn't find out about Walt Disney's death until hours after he passed. And this was probably because the family had to be notified before the public was. But some people think that the news was announced later so that there was enough time to freeze Walt before the story broke. A few weeks after he passed away, a reporter claimed that he snuck into the hospital that Walt Disney died in and saw his body being frozen in a cryo chamber. The reporter had no proof or photos, and there actually isn't any proof that this reporter existed at all, but the rumor took off after Walt's death, and it's super popular and well known today. It was first published in a magazine in 1969, and a Disney publicist apparently told the magazine that the rumor was started by a bunch of Disney animators with a weird sense of humor. Disney's daughter Diane has said that her father wasn't frozen, he was cremated. She didn't even think her father knew what cryonics was, which I think is possible as well. But the rumor bothered Diane so much that it was actually part of the reason that she opened Walt's old Disneyland apartment up to the public. But Disney did have a fascination with technology in the future, as we all know from the rides and Space Mountain and all these things. Plus, cryonics was becoming a more well-known topic in the 1960s, so it's definitely possible that Walt had actually known or seen this technology before. His death certificate states that he was cremated and his ashes were spread on the Disney family plot in Forest Lawn Memorial Park. And the funeral services were private, just for immediate family members. But some people believe that the private funeral was really just a cover for what was actually happening to Walt's body. But Walt was a private man, and he said he didn't want a funeral. He'd rather people remember him alive. Another rumor floating around is that Disney didn't want the location of his remains to be public, and the cemetery he's entered at won't give out the location of the Disney family plot. but that's a pretty common request from celebrities who want privacy after they pass. Many people have still found the plot's location, though, of course, but some people have said that there's no plaque for Walt Disney there or anything to indicate that his remains are there, even though he was such an important figure. But there's a picture of the plaque at the family plot that pretty quickly disproves that. As you can see, it says Walter Elias Disney. Since his ashes were scattered on the plot, there's no real way of checking to see if they're actually there. But this has obviously all been, when ashes are spread, it's, they're not there anymore. So anybody could be like, well, they were never there.
Yeah.
In 1972, Bob Nelson, the president of the Cryonics Society of California, said in an interview that Walt Disney, quote unquote, wanted to be frozen. But he also said that Walt missed out on the opportunity because he never put his wishes in writing. And according to Bob, Walt's family didn't want him to be frozen. Walt had apparently called the Cryonics Society after his cancer diagnosis and asked them all about their facilities and technology. And the society was incorporated the same day that Walt Disney died. Only about a month after he passed, the first human was cryogenically frozen. And Bob said that it would have been cool to have Walt Disney be the first, but it didn't happen. He claimed that he'd seen Walt's ashes with his own eyes. Another rumor that's out there is that the movie Frozen was created to combat the rumor of Walt Disney being frozen.
Oh.
So whenever someone looks up Disney Frozen or Walt Disney Frozen, the movie Frozen pops up instead of the legend.
That is stupid. There's no way that is why. They could still type in Disney cryogenically frozen or anything else.
If that's true, then it's not the first disinformation campaign the Disney company's gone on. Next, we're going to take a look at the shady origins of Walt Disney World. But before we do, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
We all have that one friend who, when you ask how they're doing, they always say that they're fine. It's kind of the same with my cats. They can seem fine, but since I don't speak cat, I just go with it. I should say that I used to go with it, but we wanted a little bit more peace of mind when it comes to our cats. They're so important to us. We've had them for over 10 years, and that's why we switched to Pretty Litter, the world's smartest cat litter. Pretty Litter crystals actually change color to help you detect early signs of potential illness like urinary tract infections, metabolic acidosis, bladder crystals, and more. Plus, Pretty Litter is ultra absorbent and instantly traps odor. It's lightweight, dust-free, and works for up to a month without clumping. That means no more wasting litter. Plus, Pretty Litter ships free to our door in a small, lightweight bag, so we never run out, and we don't have a massive container of litter taking up space, and I don't have to lug that big, bulky container from a store to my car to my house. But Pretty Litter is literally pretty, and we love that it doesn't smell. It's so small, it doesn't take up much space in our home at all, and the health detectors gives us such peace of mind. Once you try Pretty Litter, it'll be the only litter that you'll ever use. Head over to prettylitter.com right now and use code MileHigher to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com, code MileHigher to save 20% on your first order. prettylitter.com, code MileHigher.
Gotta love that sound. It's the sound of another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business, so upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere. Synchronize online and in-person sales and effortlessly stay informed. When we first started our merch business, I had no idea where to start. I started doing some research, and that's when I actually ran across Shopify. And I'm so glad that I used Shopify to set up our merch shop because it is by far the easiest e-commerce platform I've used. And it gives you all the tools that you need to build out a very robust website with all the features that most modern websites and e-stores have these days. Shopify is so easy that you don't need any sort of website development experience or anything like that. They have a Shopify Learn Academy, which is really helpful to learn all the ins and outs of Shopify. And getting a shop set up with Shopify literally took me less than an hour to get up and running. It's super, super easy. They walk you through each of the steps that you need. And it has all of the features that you need built into it. So you've got your payments, you've got your products, your inventory, you've got marketing, you've got your customer list. You have all that built into one place, which is what I love most about it, is it's everything all in one. You don't have to use a bunch of different programs or anything like that. So just like our store, milehighermerch.com, Shopify powers millions of businesses from first sale to full scale. So go to shopify.com/milehigher, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/milehigher right now. That's shopify.com/milehigher.
So back in the 50s, Walt Disney had big plans. He wanted to create not just a new theme park, but a new type of American city. That city was going to be called Epcot, which stands for the Experimental Prototype community of tomorrow. I had no idea.
Who knew? I always wondered, what the fuck is Epcot?
Me too.
What a weird name for a park.
Yeah, I just kind of accepted it. I was like, that's weird, but I like it there.
Experimental prototype community of tomorrow. So Walt was a very forward-thinking guy. He was thinking about what the future is going to look like.
So if you've never been to Epcot, there are a few rides there, but it's not really a theme park. It's more of an experience park, I would call it. You go from country to country within the park, and there's themed food and things to buy, lots of shit to buy. And
you'll spend a lot of money there.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise it's just like, you'll be sad the whole time.
It's mostly you just walk around and buy stuff.
Yeah,
and then there's a few rides. They do a pretty good fireworks show. And they have some really cool classic rides there.
It's nice to look at, but.
Yeah. Huh. Never knew that that's what it stands for, though. That's very interesting. So, Epcot's city center would have originally been surrounded by a climate-controlled dome. It would have its own airport, a theme park named Disney World within it, a modern transportation system, and an industrial showcase. And there would be no unemployment or home ownership, just a community of happy renters living in one big, happy, Disney-controlled bubble. And this top secret concept became known around Disney as the, quote, Florida Project. The project was definitely Walt's most ambitious idea. Epcot was set to be the city that changed the world. But first, Disney needed the land to build it. It was going to be hard to buy up all that property without raising eyebrows. If property owners knew that the company was trying to build a park in Florida, land prices would obviously skyrocket. And that's where the CIA comes into this story. Disney hired two high-level CIA agents, Paul Helliwell and William Wild Bill Donovan, to help them buy up the land. And they helped Disney trick local property sellers into deals where Disney got their lands for prices as low as $100 an acre.
So rather go the honest way and get a real estate agent. He's like, no, I'm going to get CIA agents that specialize in tricking people into doing what they want them to do.
Mm-hmm. And the two CIA agents created a secret communication center, trained undercover Disney agents, and helped the company in a disinformation campaign. This would make sure that Disney's project stayed top secret. And the agents created multiple fake shell companies to buy the land with that had vague names like Reedy Creek Ranch Corporation. None of the local real estate agents and sellers had any idea that they were selling their properties to Disney. Their plan worked. Now they had the land, and Paul Helliwell told Disney that the company should set up two towns under their control so that they can avoid government regulations. The Disney company wanted full control over their newest project, and that meant that they needed to have full control of the towns they were located in. They couldn't have local governments getting in their way, of course, so Disney realized that they couldn't let any local residents have any voting power. That would give them the power to interfere with their business operations. Disney wanted to limit their voting powers, and they knew that that was a violation of the U.S. Constitution. But the CIA agents had a fix for that too. They actually used their law firms to write up legislation that would help Disney control their towns. And those lawyers sent off the text to Florida legislators who were happy to sign off on it without even taking a look at it. And that's how the towns of Lake Buena Vista and Bay Lake were created. Disney controlled those, quote, phantom cities by picking employees to become the only residents of the towns. And today, only about 50 people live in these towns, and they're all Disney employees and their families.
The Reedy Creek Improvement District was created as a result of Disney's scheme. That special district is essentially Lake Buena Vista and Bay Lake's government. Only landowners in the Reedy Creek Improvement District are allowed to vote for a 5-seat board of supervisors. And all of those landowners are hand-picked Disney employees. So now Disney would basically have their own privately owned police, medical, and fire departments, and they'd also be exempt from certain tax and environmental regulations. Plus, all of the park's tax revenue would go back to the company. Everything was going according to plan, and in 1966, Walt Disney formally announced his vision. The Epcot City project, though, was scrapped after Walt Disney died. His brother Roy picked up the theme park project again, and that officially became Walt Disney World. And some of Walt's original plans became the Epcot that we know today. Walt Disney World officially opened in 1971 and has expanded over the past few decades to include multiple theme parks like the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom, as well as a bunch of hotels. The Walt Disney World property is twice the size of Manhattan and almost the same size as San Francisco. Let that sink in for a minute. That's a lot of area for a company to own, especially a theme park company. It's also full of a lot of undeveloped land. Some of it is set aside for future construction, but a lot of it can't be developed since the area is too swampy. I mean, it's middle Florida. Walt Disney's concept of a new American city didn't become the Epcot of his dreams, but some of his ideas were used when Disney built their own planned community in the 90s. Those plans turned into the town of Celebration, Florida, which Disney used to control. Celebration, Florida was designed to be a spotless, diverse, and harmonious town just south of Walt Disney World. It would be walkable, safe, and happy for all residents. So many people wanted to move to Celebration that Disney actually created a lottery system for people to buy houses there. Residents had to follow a lot of strict rules, though, in order to live in Celebration. All the houses had to follow specific construction patterns and landscaping, and some people have called the town's uniform houses creepy, much like the ones in The Truman Show or the Stepford Wives. For a while, everything went pretty smoothly in Celebration, but the plan was always for Disney to sell off the properties they own there once the town had gotten onto its feet. In 2004, the company sold their control of the downtown area to a private company, which seemed like a good sign. But many residents said that the buildings in Celebration are crumbling, and the new company won't do anything to fix them. They ended up suing the company for letting the town's condos become basically uninhabitable. Celebration wouldn't be the last of Disney's issues in Florida.
And this past April, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that will get rid of the Reedy Creek Improvement District. The special district is set to dissolve on June 1st, 2023. This will be huge for Disney since they won't be able to govern the park themselves. DeSantis probably made the move because he was angry that Disney spoke out against Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. And the end of the special district might have big consequences for local residents too. Now, the taxpayers in the Orange and Osceola counties will have to foot some of Disney's bills. The Reedy Creek Improvement District covered all of the costs of the two towns' police and fire departments, waste management, water, electricity, roads and bridges, and more. And now taxpayers will have to cover those things. They'll also be stuck paying for the park's billion-dollar debt. Residents in the two counties Disney World is located in might also have their taxes increased by 20%. I would love to hear from people down in Florida, especially in these areas, what they think of all this. So anyway, now we're going to look at if there are any other connections between Disney and the CIA. Before Walt Disney was hospitalized and died, he wrote one last note, and the note was titled TV Projects in Production, Ready for Production or Possible Escalation and Story. And there were some interesting things written underneath that. A couple different things. Ron Miller, Two Way Down Cellar, Kurt Russell, and CIA-Mobley. So Ron Miller was Walt Disney's son-in-law who sometimes produced live-action Disney movies. Way Down Cellar ended up becoming a Disney movie released about a year after Walt died, and Kurt Russell was a rising star actor at Disney during this time. But what does CIA-Mobley mean? It probably refers to Roger Mobley, another big Disney star at the time. Walt probably wrote all those names to pass on to someone developing the Way Down Cellar movie. But what does the CIA part of that mean? That is still a mystery to this day. And why did these two CIA agents help Disney back in the 50s and 60s? Maybe it was because they shared the same vision of America that Walt had. Maybe it was because they wanted an influential man like him as a CIA asset. Or maybe it was because Disney was about to help the U.S. government pull off an incredible hoax.
Which leads us to our next conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
And this one falls under the moon landing was fake conspiracy umbrella, which we've done a whole episode here on the moon landing conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
That goes into pretty great detail on all the different theories about it. But today we're going to be focusing on Disney's connection to the moon landing was fake. So the theory is that Disney used their movie studios to help Stanley Kubrick and NASA fake the 1969 Apollo moon landing. These conspiracies have been around since Neil Armstrong first stepped foot on the moon. And basically the gist of it is that the US staged the moon landing so that we could beat Russia in the space race that was going on at the time. Some people think that all the footage the Americans saw of the moon landing was actually filmed in a movie studio. Parts of the footage people saw on July 20th, 1969 was actually simulated, and those portions were clips of the Apollo lunar module landing on the moon. Obviously, it was the first manned spacecraft to land on the moon, so of course there was no cameraman already waiting on the surface. Plus, CBS put a disclaimer on the footage stating that it was a simulation. There were real videos of the astronauts walking on the moon for the first time, but some people think that those videos are actually fake too. But here's one key piece of proof. There's a photo of one of the Apollo astronauts that shows a strange light in the shot, and some people think that it came from a movie studio's lighting system. But that light is really just a lens flare from the camera. The large rectangular shape in the middle came from the camera's aperture. So according to the moon landing conspiracy theory, NASA actually hired Stanley Kubrick to direct the fake moon landing movie or film that everybody saw that they thought was real. And whose studios did NASA and Stanley Kubrick use to film the moon landing footage? Well, probably the largest studios in the world and the most advanced, and at the time that was Disney's.
If that really happened, it would have,
it would make sense that they would use a Disney studio for that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, Walt Disney had an interest in space, and the company made multiple space exploration movies in the 50s, including Man in Space, Man in the Moon, and Mars and Beyond. Walt wanted to make the idea of space exploration less scary for the American people. The movies were supposed to introduce them to the concept and make them more curious about it. In the 1950s, the U.S. was going head-to-head with Russia in the space race, so humans in space was something that was on the horizon. Disney actually worked with a German aerospace engineer, Werner von Braun, in order to create those films. Von Braun was the chief architect of the launch vehicle that brought the Apollo spacecraft to the moon, and he's considered the father of the American lunar program. But von Braun was also a member of the Nazi Party and the SS organization, which was a major Nazi paramilitary organization. But von Braun had also been a member of the Nazi Party and the SS, which is a major paramilitary Nazi organization. He created a lot of rocket technology for the Nazis during World War II, and he said that he was more or less forced to join the party or else he'd have to give up his aerospace work. So whether or not von Braun actually committed to Nazi ideology is still sort of controversial. But regardless, he and his specialists surrendered to the U.S. in 1945, and we brought him over to work for NASA.
In fact, after the war, the U.S. brought more than 1,600 Nazi German engineers and scientists into the country and gave them government jobs. This is an intelligence program that was named Operation Paperclip. I'm pretty sure we've done an episode on that, or at least talked about it.
We've talked about it before, for sure, but we haven't done a deep dive
Really
on Operation Paperclip before.
So that's basically how von Braun met Walt Disney. And there was another Operation Paperclip physicist who worked on those Disney films. His name was Heinz Haber. He was a Nazi Air Force captain who worked with the U.S. Air Force after the war. And not only did Heinz work on those films, he became Disneyland's chief scientist. He hosted an episode of the show Disneyland named Our Friend the Atom, and he wrote a Disney book with the same name.
Here's a clip of Walt Disney introducing Heinz Haber.
We added a nationally known scientist to our staff to head our new science department.
A nice
His first
Nazi.
Just a
assignment was
former
to write
Nazi.
the book on the atom and to help us in developing this program. And here to tell you the story of our friend the atom is the author of our book, Dr. Heinz Haber.
Haber.
As we developed our story of the atom, we made an amazing discovery. We had a science story, but suddenly we realized that it was almost like a fairy tale. By a strange coincidence, our story turned out to be like the old fable from the Arabian Nights, the fisherman and the genie.
Yikes. So both Haber and von Braun worked with Disney to develop the Disneyland park attraction Rocket to the Moon, which is in Tomorrowland. And the two Operation Paperclip Nazi recruits collaborated with Disney, NASA, and the U.S. military to create films that would get Americans excited about space. So did they realize that they couldn't actually finish the job by getting a man in space, which led them to fake it? Did the U.S. government need to win the space race in order to justify Operation Paperclip? Or was the whole thing a plot to advance what the Nazis believed? Or do you think it's all bullshit? Sound off. We want to know.
Man, it's tough because obviously without knowing, Walt Disney personally, I just think it's very odd out of all of the scientists in the country.
Bizarre.
He teamed up with two former Nazis, which I get. They came over and, obviously we don't know for sure whether or not they subscribed to Nazi ideology, but still they were part of the Nazi.
Yeah.
So they probably did. And yet they were heavily entrenched in a lot of what Walt Disney was doing at the time with his science department and everything else. And you can imagine they probably spent a lot of time together personally. There's probably a lot of conversations. So, I mean, you never know. Maybe he brought them in because they shared similar views to what Walt Disney had.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, we just don't know.
We don't know. It is odd, though.
Speculate. Oh, very odd. But keep in mind, Walt Disney had been dead for 2.5 years by the time that we landed on the moon. Walt also died a year and a half before 2001. A Space Odyssey was released, which was an MGM Studios production, not Disney. So, where does Stanley Kubrick come into all of this? Kubrick's film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, had been released in 1968, a year before the moon landing. He supposedly had enough experience to help NASA fake the moon landing in a movie studio. And there was a video floating around of Kubrick confessing that he helped fake the moon landing, but the interview was actually just a hoax created by a filmmaker and a paid actor. The filmmaker said on his website that he interviewed Kubrick in May of 1999, but Kubrick actually died in March of 1999. So obviously, we'll have to assume the filmmaker conducted the interview via Ouija board.
Yeah, it was the only way possible.
Yeah. So why would Disney agree to do this? It was supposed to be a secret, so the company wouldn't get any publicity from it. Was Disney in the pocket of the U.S. government? Was he a secret Nazi himself? I mean, he was all wrapped up with CIA agents, and I don't know. It's very curious.
It is, because even at the time, I'm just thinking, like, I get he was really wealthy, he was really powerful. He was obviously in the upper echelon of society, and he would probably have those contacts. He probably could get those contacts, but it's interesting that he's so wrapped up with the, former Nazi members and CIA agents, or if for some reason he was an asset to the CIA, perhaps, keeping an eye on these former Nazi members, something like that could have been possible. Like he was almost a spy. There's also another theory out there that's, of course, not ours. It's just floating around out there that Walt Disney was a racist, anti-Semitic FBI spy. So not only the CIA, but the FBI now is involved with him. So a lot of these rumors probably stemmed from Mark Elliott's 1993 book, Walt Disney, Hollywood's Dark Prince. Mark wrote that Walt Disney was a fascist, anti-Semitic, Nazi, sexist, racist, a heavy drinker, and an FBI spy. Pretty bold accusations there. So what proof does he have? In 1937, Walt and his brother Roy visited Germany while they were on a European promotional tour for Snow White. A German film distributor owed the Disney company a lot of money, and the Disney brothers were trying to get that money back. Walt did meet with some fascists during his career, including a German filmmaker who visited Hollywood in 1938. That filmmaker was actually one of Hitler's favorites. Walt personally invited her for a tour of his studios and showed her some of his Mickey Mouse sketches. But Walt was a capitalist at his core, so these meetings might have been more attempts to get their money back as opposed to something else more nefarious. But it's still not a good look, especially when you consider the whole Operation Paperclip Space Nazis thing. There's a lot of biographers out there that have said that there's no record of Walt Disney ever harboring anti-Semitic feelings. In fact, there were a lot of Jewish people employed by Disney that had prominent roles in the company's operations and productions. By all accounts, Walt was happy to work with Jewish people in the industry, and Disney actually produced some World War II propaganda cartoons to get public support against the Nazis. But there's also racist imagery in some older Disney productions, not the least of which was The Song of the South. Many animated Disney films had pretty offensive language and stereotypes, but you also have to remember that during the 1930s and 1950s, sexism was rampant, and unfortunately most men in the film industry and in America were sexist. But it's still not a good look. In 1938, the Disney company actually responded to a woman's job application with, "Women do not do creative work." But let's move on to the FBI informant allegations. These are actually somewhat true. And for 26 years, Walt Disney secretly informed the FBI about potential communists in the film industry. This included animators and other members of his own studio, writers, producers, union leaders, and film executives. In 1941, Disney's animators went on strike for better pay and working conditions. And I think they did that again pretty recently, actually. Obviously, Walt was a huge capitalist, and he was angry that a strike got in the way of his business. The Disney company fired most of the animators, but eventually Walt agreed to let the animators join a union. But he was still very pissed about the whole thing. Walt wanted to get his way, and the second Red Scare gave him the perfect opportunity to try and disrupt the unions. He accused the industry of being infiltrated by communists trying to undermine the American way of life by putting bits of propaganda in films. He also joined the anti-Semitic, anti-union, and anti-communist Motion Picture Alliance after the strikes. But that might have been more of a business move than anything else, since he wanted to bust the unions. But again, not a good look for Walt Disney. Walt actually testified at the McCarthy-era hearings in 1947. He spoke before the House Un-American Activities Committee and denounced communism. He also snitched on some people in his studio that he believed were communists, which tanked their careers. Here's actually a clip of Walt Disney testifying against alleged communists.
I don't believe it's a political party. I believe it's an un-American thing. And the thing that I resent the most is that they are able to get into these unions and take them over and represent to the world that a group of people that are in my plant that I know are good 100% Americans are trapped by this group, and they're represented to the world as supporting all of those ideologies, and it's not so. And I feel that they really ought to be smoked out and shown up for what they are, so that all the good free causes in this country, all the liberalisms that really are American, can go out without this taint of communism. That's my sincere feelings on it.
Very outspoken.
Yeah. So Walt's first recorded interaction with the FBI happened in 1936. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover reached out to Walt and told him, "I am indeed pleased that we can be of service to you in affording you a means of absolute identity throughout your lifetime." And it's not clear exactly what absolute identity means. So
I am indeed pleased that we can be of service to you in affording you a means of absolute identity throughout your lifetime.
that is so strange. I'm curious what you guys think
Absolute identity
about that one. So
I mean, that's a very interesting statement to come from the director of the FBI to Walt. It seems like that right there seems almost like the FBI owed Walt something.
Mm-hmm. So Walt began officially working as an FBI informant on November 10th, 1941. And this was just a few months after the successful Disney animators strike. Walt secretly worked with the agency until he passed away in 1966. In 1954, the FBI approved Walt as a, quote, full special agent in charge contact, or SAC contact. SAC contacts were informants the Bureau trusted to help out with public relations, equipment, and insider intel. Throughout the 50s, the FBI actually helped Disney secure some permits for Disneyland. The FBI got permission to use Disneyland for their work in return. And we don't know exactly what purposes the FBI wanted to use Disneyland for, and we don't know if they actually did use the park. In exchange for his help, J. Edgar Hoover let Walt film inside the FBI offices. The two of them had a pretty cozy relationship throughout the years. Walt filmed multiple episodes of the Mickey Mouse Club at the Bureau's offices in Washington, D.C., and he promised the FBI that they'd air footage of the Mouseketeers oohing and awing at the brave FBI agents essentially doing propaganda work for the Bureau. The Bureau also collaborated on scripts with Walt. They wanted to make sure that Disney was portraying the FBI in a positive light. So for the most part, Disney let them change parts of their scripts to make the FBI look good. And at one point, J. Edgar Hoover actually had one of the Bureau chiefs send a request to Disney about a movie script. He wanted Disney to edit the script for the film Moon Pilot so that it never outright mentioned the FBI. Disney agreed to make those changes. In 1993, the FBI released 570 pages of their files on Walt Disney after they were FOIA requested. And a lot of those pages are heavily blacked out or redacted. So it's possible that we'll never really know the full details of what Walt did for the FBI.
It's interesting to me that he had such a cozy relationship with J. Edgar Hoover because we know what a piece of shit J. Edgar Hoover was.
Yeah.
The guy was racist, he was homophobic, and the FBI killed Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
It's
and
pretty much fact
he
at
was
this
just
point.
incredibly shady and wrapped up in so many different things.
Scandals and all sorts
and
of things, doing a bunch of illegal stuff.
Yeah, one of the worst.
So if you look at J. Edgar Hoover's personal views, you have to wonder that, that there's personal friendships here. And so
even that statement was very
you really start to think,
personal.
Did Walt Disney share those same feelings, thoughts?
I mean, it makes
Kinda
you
seemed like
wonder.
it did. And both of them were like deathly afraid of communists too, as well.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
So Disney definitely made a decent amount of propaganda for the US government, but some people wonder if the Disney company is trying to push their other messages using secretive, subtle methods or subliminal messaging. We're going to dive into some of that subliminal messaging when we get back from our break.
Last week, I came down hard with the flu. It was probably the most sick I've been in years. And one thing that absolutely helped me get back on my feet is Liquid IV. Sometimes just plain water and other drinks just don't cut it. With 1 stick of Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier and 16 ounces of water, it hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than just water alone. What's great is that Liquid IV Hydration comes in refreshing flavors like watermelon, lemon, lime, strawberry, pina colada, and more. My favorite flavor is watermelon. It actually tastes pretty good. So it's not like it's horrible to drink Liquid IV at all. It actually tastes really delicious. Again, 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins, which is super important, especially when you're trying to get healthy: B3, B5, B6, B12, and of course, vitamin C. With 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, it's made with premium ingredients. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. And what makes Liquid IV so effective is the science of cellular transport technologies, or CTT. It really helped me get back on my feet from this horrible illness. So grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MILEHIGHER at checkout. Really great to have on hand during flu season. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code MILEHIGHER at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today at liquidiv.com. Promo code MILEHIGHER. These days, who isn't watching Netflix? In fact, I've been watching Netflix so much, I'm running out of things to watch. I've watched so many different things, all the good shows, and I wish there was more. Well, with ExpressVPN, you can get more out of your Netflix account. ExpressVPN is an absolute game changer when it comes to Netflix, because what it allows you to do is connect to another country through a VPN tunnel, which then makes Netflix think that you're actually physically located in that country. Well, what does that do for you? It, in fact, unlocks a whole new library. So if you connect to Canada through ExpressVPN, Netflix then shows you the Canadian library that it offers. Or you can connect to England's Netflix library, and it unlocks a ton of new shows, movies, and it gives you so much more to watch. And best of all, ExpressVPN makes it super easy with their app. It's literally 1 click. You choose where you want to connect to, and boom, you just refresh your Netflix browser, and you've got a whole bunch of new content to watch. I've been using ExpressVPN for years now, and it's the only VPN service I trust on the daily. It offers blazing fast speeds. You can stream in HD with 0 buffering. It's compatible with all your devices, including your phone, laptops, media consoles, smart TVs, and more. So be smart and stop paying full price for streaming services and only getting access to a fraction of their content. Get your money's worth at expressvpn.com/milehigher. Don't forget to use our link at expressvpn.com/milehigher to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free.
So does Disney hide subliminal messaging in their children's movies? Now, this has been a really popular theory for a while. People have always been fascinated on it. I know I did a video about just different possibilities when it comes to subliminal messaging at some point in my earlier YouTube days. And it's always been very interesting to me. You may have heard that a lot of Disney movies have some R-rated hidden symbols or messages. And probably one of the most well-known examples of the hidden messages is in one of Disney's old cartoon kids movies. The Disney animated film, The Rescuers, which was released in 1977. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I did see The Rescuers, actually.
Yep. I used to like that one.
Yeah, me
It's a
too.
kids movie that tells the story of a group of mice that rescue kidnapped children. And for over 20 years, people enjoyed the family-friendly movie without any complaints about inappropriate content. But that changed in 1999 when Disney announced that they were recalling millions of home video copies of the movie. It turns out that The Rescuers contained 2 frames of a naked woman in the background of one of their scenes.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
was really in there?
Yep, that was really in there.
Oh my God. Yeah, you can see a woman's breasts back there. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So these two frames were in the movie since 1977, but they're really hard to spot, because the movie is moving so fast that no one would really notice unless they were looking for these frames
Like
specifically
slowed it down,
and pausing it. Yeah. So Disney said that their animators did not insert these frames. Someone in post-production did. And the image wasn't in the movie's 1992 home video release because those copies came from a different print. So we don't know exactly how many people were able to see that image before Disney recalled the film. But clearly, it wasn't really common knowledge until Disney announced the recall decades later.
I kind of think it's interesting that Disney was the one that recalled it instead of just kind of ignoring it until it was actually brought to the public by people who figured it out.
Right.
Because it was there for so long. Why would they all of a sudden draw attention to it and cause such a ruckus?
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Or maybe like the leadership changed there after Walt died and things changed. And there was somebody that was trying to keep on Walt's method and inserting subliminal messaging. And then they're like, oh, this is actually a bad idea. We shouldn't be putting this kind of shit in children's films. We should remove that from that Rescuers film. There's a topless woman in there.
So weird.
Was it a joke though? You think this was just a joke that somebody did? Thought it was funny to put it in there? Like why? I mean, if the frames are moving so quick and you don't really see it at all anyway, why
but that's
put
how
it in there in the first
subliminal
place?
messaging works. It's so fast that our brain picks up things that
like a
we
millisecond
can't.
though?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that's the theory behind it. I'm not just...
I don't really believe that one because I think it was more like a prank.
A joke.
Because it happened so fast.
Someone was trolling.
Right. You would think that it'd be in more frames or like in the, more visible if they're really trying to. Because like, is your brain even going to register? I don't think anybody even probably noticed it until they looked at it frame by frame at Disney.
Yeah.
Some people think that Disney actually recalled the movie to boost their home VHS sales. The theory is that the controversy would attract more VHS sales from people looking for those inappropriate images. And people might buy other Disney home releases to look for other hidden messages as well.
I don't know.
Honestly, that kind of seems more believable that this was like a sales tactic.
To recall it?
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be more damaging than helpful. But I don't know. There have been other scenes from Disney kids movies that people think are kind of fishy. For example, there's a scene in The Lion King that has raised some eyebrows. I would say this is the most popular one. In this scene, Simba walks to the cliff's edge and flops down on it, and he kicks up this like cloud of dust that fades into the night sky. It's actually, this whole part of the movie is such a beautiful scene, so it's kind of sad that this whole theory is wrapped up in it. But you can see the dust kind of creates
letters. Outlines of letters.
It could be, not for sure, but people think it says sex.
I think you got to look pretty damn hard at that to pull that out of there. But again, like that's what subliminal is. It's like subtly spelling it.
And there's a legend online that a 4-year-old was watching the movie back in 1995 and he turned his head for a second and he saw that it said sex. He told his mom about the letters and the mom told a religious organization called the American Life League. And that organization had already been boycotting Disney because they thought their movies contained sexual messages. So it's kind of difficult to see the letters unless you really look at it. It's also pretty hard to believe that anyone casually watching the movie would notice something like that. But this is really interesting, and I don't think a lot of people know this. But one of the Lion King's animators confirmed that the dust was really supposed to spell something out. But he said it was actually supposed to spell SFX. It was a small tribute to the film's special effects team, according to him.
And if you go and look at the dust again, it to me, it looks more like an SFX. I don't know.
Yeah, it does kind of.
I guess there's that tail on the F there that like you could say was an E, but or maybe it was just a design error. They were just like, oh shit, we should have separated that little last particles of dust a little bit better. Because I mean,
but it's not uncommon for companies to put in like little shout outs.
Yeah, little Easter eggs are what they're called. Yeah, a lot of games do that.
But it does look.
Could go either way though.
I see sex more than I see SFX.
Why not make it a little bit more pronounced so that you don't run into this controversy?
Right. Just kind of weird. So obviously that explanation hasn't really satisfied a lot of people. They've pointed out a lot of other examples of what they think are Disney trying to sexualize children. There are some promotional posters and images from Disney films that people believe have sexual symbols in them. Look at this Lion King poster, for example.
That's some shit.
Yeah, that is something. something else. That's some ass.
That's some nice booty there.
I don't know. Do you think that was the thought behind it? I mean, he looks weird in this. That's like not even how he looks.
No,
it's like
I know.
It's distorted to make this image work.
Yeah, why not make it a... I
kind of believe that one. It's weird. Yeah.
It does look like arms going up.
Yeah.
And then, like,
even in the top, the
hourglass.
hair,
Yeah.
like it really does. Questionable.
Do you think there's just a bunch of like trolls working at Disney maybe? And they're just like...
It could be. Maybe it's like a culture thing there, or I don't know. Maybe
Culture thing.
maybe these people are onto something, that they really are trying to put these images out there to children. Like, is that possible?
Guess it could be.
I think it could be. I mean,
pretty
or it's
much
just
everything these days is
a
sexualized.
coincidence,
though.
or is it a case of like just seeing things where there's nothing to actually be seen? Your brain just sees pictures. I mean, you can look at abstract art and also find sexual images, and I don't know. I really am torn on this whole thing, but the Little Mermaid poster also. This one, I don't know, man. It really looks like a big golden dildo to me. What do you think?
It really does.
It really
looks
does.
like a big penis.
Yeah.
Big golden penis there.
Yep. It really does. That one is
God, yeah.
it's pretty prominent, and it doesn't even like make sense with the rest of the picture.
And it's like, why? It'd be so easy to just make it not look like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Is it just one person that draws all these posters, and they're just a sick person that wants to put little sexual tidbits in there?
Not just one person. I mean, it's like over time, tons of different
True.
people.
So is there a bigger thing going on here? I mean,
don't
this
know.
next one is
Look at this.
scary.
Yeah. This cover of Icelandic Disney magazine.
What?
That's some shit.
That is some shit
I don't
for
know.
sure.
I don't know how you deny that.
That is so
What
disturbing.
is that part supposed to? Oh, her
I think
shoulder.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
hugging him. Got it. A little shoulder
Oh,
ruffle.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
Right.
That
That
looks
is
like a dick.
Definitely.
A blue dick.
I didn't see shoulder. I didn't see any. I couldn't even tell what that was until you just explained that.
It's
And
just,
even the crease at the top. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
it's like, come on, man.
Okay, next we have this Tangled poster. This one is I think a little bit more of a stretch in my opinion, but it could be. People think that the hair that's wrapped around the dude here, I've never seen Tangled actually. People say it's great, but apparently it says sex right here.
I don't
Stretch.
think any kid would ever look at that
Yeah.
and spell that out.
No.
I think
No.
here's my thing with it though, is like, I get that these things look like that, but what does that actually do? Like, what's actually happening there? Are kids actually, is this having an effect on people? Or is this just funny because we're all adults and we're looking at this and we're like, oh, this kind of looks like that on a kid's thing. Like, is a kid ever going to register that looks like a penis, or that spells out sex?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the subliminal messaging thing is just like, I don't know about it.
I don't know.
doesn't
I mean,
seem
some
like
of them
it.
are like, I do think may have been put in there possibly as
So is
pranks.
So is there any kid out there that's ever existed that's like, oh, I saw that one poster, that one Disney poster?
I don't know. I mean,
and
there's that
it was
legend.
a
but
woman's
it's not
ass,
confirmed.
and it just stuck in my head all these years. It was Mufasa's face, but it was a woman's ass.
Well, that's
and-
the thing with subliminal messaging, and maybe we should do an episode on that. That'd actually be quite interesting. It's like, even if you don't register it, your brain,
Your
that's the
subconscious is
theory,
like,
is that
eh.
you're right.
I think there's stronger arguments for subliminal
Yeah.
messaging than any of these Disney examples.
Okay, so there's also a scene in Aladdin that sounds like, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I don't think we can play it because of copyright. But it says,
Who
it
says
sounds
it?
like,
I think it's Aladdin.
yeah, it might be Aladdin. Anyway, it sounds like he's saying, good teenagers, take off your clothes. But Disney confirmed that it's actually saying, good tiger, take off and go, which is kind of weird wording. But I've heard it before. It is weird. But it's like, I heard that after I already had heard the theory. So it's like, is your
It's
brain
the-
looking
I think
for
it's the
it?
genie that says it.
Oh, maybe it is.
Or
I
it's the
think
magic carpet that says it.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. There aren't just references to sex that people have found in Disney's content. For example, take a look at this still from 101 Dalmatians. Looks like there's a possible swastika in the Dalmatians print. Or there's this still from an episode of DuckTales. Remember DuckTales?
Hmm.
It says,
Ask about Illuminati?
Yeah. That one's weird.
What?
Huh? Right?
No.
Yeah, that actually is real.
That's actually
It's really in
really
there.
crazy, because if that's in there, then I guess it makes all these other ones a bit more believable.
Right.
Like
I know.
that they really are dropping these little things. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's interesting.
So obviously the question is why?
So the last theory we're going to talk about today has to deal with Club 33 and Freemasons. So some people think that this exclusive Club 33 might be hiding interesting secrets. To keep guests from going into unauthorized areas, Disney parks use Go Away Green. It's a bland green color painted on buildings so visitors' eyes naturally gloss over them. The color is usually used to disguise utility closets in areas under construction, but at Disneyland, it's also used to hide Club 33. Club 33 is an ultra-exclusive, private members-only club. It's for high-profile celebrities who want to enjoy fine dining and entertainment at Disney parks. The club is a way for these elites to get away from the crowds. There are Club 33 locations in Walt Disney World, Tokyo Disneyland, Shanghai Disneyland, and the original Disneyland Anaheim location. The Disneyland location is the most famous, though, and it's also the most expensive. Club 33 has been visited by celebrities like Tom Hanks, Tiger Woods, Christina Aguilera, and Elton John, and it costs tens of thousands of dollars to join, and the waiting list for this club has sometimes been decades long. Walt Disney got inspiration for Club 33 after he saw the executive lounges at the 1964 New York World's Fair. He wanted an exclusive lounge where he could entertain VIPs and elites. When Disneyland opened, Club 33 was the only place in the park where alcohol was sold. State laws required an address from any business that wanted a liquor license, so Disney needed to give their members club an address. The original Disneyland Club is located at 33 Royal Street in New Orleans Square. This is probably where the club gets its name from. It might also have been a reference to the 33 original corporate sponsors of Disneyland. But some people think that the club's name actually comes from Freemasonry. It's been rumored that Walt Disney built Club 33 to be a Masonic lodge. You've probably already seen a few conspiracies online related to the Freemasons, which I don't think we ever did a whole episode on the Freemasons, even though I'm sure we said a million times we're going to. It's definitely something we should revisit. But Freemasonry is a fraternal organization that's been around for centuries. It's a secret society. Originally, they were groups of stonemasons that formed guilds and regulated the business. They were basically like a medieval trade union for stonemasons. There were a lot of ceremonial rites involved, and masons were expected to keep trade secrets within their individual guilds. It was basically a medieval patenting method. Freemasons still exist today, but they're not stonemasons anymore. But the organization is still based on a lot of ceremonies and traditions. Masons are grouped into individual local Masonic lodges. Any man can become a Freemason as long as they're above the age of 18 or 21 in some places, and women are strictly prohibited from becoming Masons. Outside of the ceremonial stuff, most of what the Masons do is charity work and service. It's kind of like a Greek letter college fraternity, but with more tradition and service and without any of the insane partying. However, a lot of people think that the Freemasons are tangled up in the occult or the Illuminati, and that they've been accused of being involved in lots of different conspiracies, including the New World Order or the spread of Satanism. Walt Disney was rumored to be a 33rd degree Mason. And in Masonry, the 33rd degree is an honor given to members who've made important contributions to Masonry or to society. Some examples of other 33rd degree Masons are President Harry Truman, Arnold Palmer, and Henry Ford. It's actually interesting. My grandfather is I want to say he's like a 20-something degree Freemason, and he showed me his Freemason ring, so I know it's legit.
He's coming over tonight. Maybe we'll ask him.
He's like obsessed with joining all these fraternal organizations. He was part of the Elks. He was a part of the Shriners. All of these groups, which is very interesting. I should ask him. Yeah, we should ask him why he joined those groups.
Mm-hmm.
So was Walt Disney a Freemason? Not exactly. He was a member of the Order of the De Molay, which is a Freemason-sponsored youth fraternal organization. De Molay International was founded in 1919 in Kansas City, and it's been a youth group for boys aged 12 to 21. And the group mainly focuses on charity and service work, much like the Freemasons. Walt Disney joined De Molay International in 1920 when he was 19 years old, and he was one of the organization's first members. And he was pretty committed, but it doesn't look like he ever became a full-fledged Freemason. Walt Disney actually made Mickey Mouse a member of the Order of De Molay, and Walt did receive the De Molay Legion of Honor Award, which is their equivalent to the Mason's 33rd degree. There's actually some rumors online that Walt's older brother, Roy Disney, was briefly a Freemason, but that's never really been confirmed. On June 15, 1967, Disneyland's Club 33 officially opened, but Walt passed away in 1966, 6 months before the club was completed. And today you can visit Club 33 if you're lucky enough to snag a reservation that a member has canceled. If you get in, take a look at the trophy room. It has a max occupancy of 33 people.
That's random.
Back in the day, Disneyland actually had its own Masonic club. The club was created in the 50s for Disney employees, but there's not a lot of info about the club or when it was disbanded. There's also an interesting reference to Freemasonry in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom. If you take a ride on the Liberty Square riverboat, you'll pass by the Big Thunder Mountain roller coaster. And on that ride, there's a small crate on the dock that's labeled H. Abiff's Working Tools. And that's a reference to Hiram Abiff, who is a character in an allegory that Masons learn about during the third degree ceremonial stage. That's really bizarre.
That is.
Really weird. The third degree is the last of the 3 Masonic degrees. Once a Mason completes the ceremonial stage, they become a Master Mason. The legend of Hiram Abiff goes something like this. He was an architect of King Solomon's temple and a Freemason, and one day intruders came into the temple and tried to get Hiram to give up the Master Mason's secret passwords. He refused to tell the intruders, and they killed him for that. And the story is supposed to teach the lessons of faithfulness, loyalty, and the certainty of death. So why is that reference there at all? It's unknown who designed the crate, and Disney died decades before Big Thunder Mountain was constructed. So it was probably a Disney Imagineer, which is what they call Disney's creative engineers, who had some tie to masonry that put it there. That's really weird, though, that they would put that in, like, on the ride.
Yeah, really strange.
Or is it just to try to, like, make people think? Maybe they want everybody to think all these conspiracies are real.
I don't know. I think there's
they're
more
kind of planting
to
it.
I don't know.
But there's also some more numerology stuff out there related to this conspiracy. Was 13 an important number for Walt Disney? The letter M is the 13th letter of the alphabet. And you've got Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse plus Mason. Disneyland's mailing address is 1313 South Harbor Boulevard in Anaheim. And 13 is allegedly a Masonic symbol. But the Freemasons organization has denied this. Also, the number 3 sort of looks like mouse ears if you turn it to the side. So it does the letter M.
Yeah.
So Mickey Mouse might equal 33.
Well, I think that's all we have time for today, but you could go on and on when it comes to the Disney stuff.
You can go
we
through
didn't even
like
get
all
to Disney
the films.
parks, and there's other theories and more subliminal messaging stuff. So if you guys are interested in another episode of this, maybe later on this summer, let us know in the comments below what you think.
Yeah, the ties to the former Nazi party members and the CIA. He was tight with J. Edgar Hoover. I mean, it's really hard to deny some of the stuff, and that there may be deeper meanings planted everywhere for some, darker purpose.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to the story. I'm very curious about those documents that were blacked out, redacted.
I know, right?
I mean,
I feel like there's probably so much that Disney has to protect and hide from Walt Disney's past. I mean, in order to create the sort of illusion they've created today, the Magic Kingdom, where dreams come true.
Yeah, and just some of the content that came out too is just questionable when it comes to his character as well. I mean, I don't know. I think there really is something to it. What do you think, Janelle?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And actually, I was just to bounce off of the 13 number that kind of interests me. I just found this article, and there's like tons of examples of A113 in all different kinds of movies.
Oh, wow.
They plant it everywhere.
Nemo, Bugs Life, Up, Monsters University.
Wait, with Nemo, is it the address, the Wallaby Sherman?
No, it's
on the diver's
camera. You can't really see it in this picture, but on the, what is this, Princess and the Frog on the train.
Weird.
My whole thing is like, why? Why would, like, if you're trying to be this,
sorry, Blast from the Past. That's a Disney movie, The Brave Little Toaster. You want to talk about trauma? That movie fucked me up.
Really?
Oh my God.
I never saw that one, I don't think. What's that one about?
It's about all these like sad appliances who are all misfits. They're like junk, like a vacuum and a oh my gosh, dude, seriously, the vacuum almost dies. It's like a whole thing. That movie I used to get so scared of and cry, but it was one of my favorites too.
It's
I didn't
weird
know that was Disney.
I know, it's so weird that if you think about all the Disney movies, how many of them have a common theme of death in it?
Because Pixar's Disney, right? Disney Pixar. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, this A113 is like everywhere.
A113. That is interesting. I wonder if any of you out there know more
It could
about
just be
that.
because, again, the 13th letter of the alphabet is M, and he just loved M because of Mickey Mouse, and that's why he plants it everywhere. But
I don't know. That's well, what's up with the A? That's weird.
And why? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we definitely want to hear your thoughts on this one, folks. Chime in.
yeah, it's really bizarre. I don't know how I feel about Disney now.
I know. It's one of those things. Everything has to be ruined, right? There's no good anything anymore.
Wow, it's a good note to leave
Yeah,
on.
just everything sucks. There's no good kids movies anymore.
Bye.
This is why
Have
we're
a good night,
Team
everybody.
DreamWorks. We're Team DreamWorks here.
Oh yeah, DreamWorks. I love
Those
some Shrek.
films are good.
Shrek's good.
But then there's theories about, isn't there like theories about Shrek too?
Oh, don't tell me that.
I think there are. I think there's like wild theories about Shrek, and
conspiracy theories. I
mean,
gotta
there's
look this up real
conspiracies
fast.
about everything. Yeah, I thought I saw that there was a Shrek conspiracy theory.
Shrek. I see fan theories. Oh, dark Shrek fan theories that make total sense.
But I mean, you could
That will
literally,
freak
any
you out.
movie, you could come up with
Yeah.
a crazy theory about
Oh
it.
yeah. There's theories about everything.
But yeah, let us know what
Interesting.
you think of these Disney conspiracy theories. Had you heard any of these before?
And should we start doing some detective work on all of the other animation studios out there?
Yeah.
Are they all evil? That is the true question.
Yeah, I think we need to dive into the Freemasons more too and look at some more of the theories surrounding them and
It's
secret
interesting
societies.
stuff.
I forgot. Yeah, it's been a while since we visited secret societies.
Yeah.
Might be time to
Yeah.
dive back down that
We're
one.
hoping to explore more into that world. For a while, we really had to pull back from the world of conspiracies because it's a huge like trigger word for YouTube.
Yeah.
And I hope I can even say that. I'm like a little nervous, but I think it's gotten a little better.
Yeah.
But it just got to the point where it's like you couldn't say anything without, and it punishes our content, who it gets pushed to, and
Yeah.
but there are definitely some things that we are curious about, and we might dive back in.
We will.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, we will. Because
We
I
will.
love that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really is.
Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up today's episode there. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Mile Higher Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure if you're watching it on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching us on Spotify now, which we have video on Spotify,
Yeah.
please make sure you're following us there so that you always get notified. And Spotify will push you our newest episodes when they come out.
Spotify's the way to go. If we can build
Yeah,
up
we all
even
use
more
Spotify.
viewership there, then we
Even
have to
YouTube,
worry
that'd be
less
cool.
about the YouTube bullshit.
Right, exactly. So
So,
we will see you guys next time with another episode. And until then, keep taking your mind up.
mile higher. What he said.